Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Alright, on this video we'll be looking at the forex market on the weekly time frame, just for us to have an understanding of where the price and market is at going into the new week. Alright, with that I would say smash the like button, share the video and subscribe as we head into while we are here. Alright, I believe you've done that. So let's get into it. So on this video, we'll be looking at the DXY, the dollar index. We'll also be looking at Euro USD, British Pound USD. We'll be touching down on BTC, and then we'll be rounding up with gold and Japanese yen USD. All right. With that, I believe you're ready for us to head straight into it. So without wasting further time, I would want you to follow me with your attention, follow me with your focus as I take you to the world of DXY on the 1 week time frame. And if you look at the DXY on the 1 week time frame, just similar to what we saw on the last week, if you want to get the update on that, you can go watch the video right on my channel. But right there, you can see some interesting trend line that DXY has been holding for a while around now. So with this trend, based on the data I have here, kicked up on April 2011. All right, this was on April 2011. We saw the first load there, second load there, and you can see pretty much whenever price comes to that trend line, we do experience some buy pressure coming into play. All right, now I want you to pay attention to the RSI. If we are to bring in the RSI as an extra level of confirmation based on the price action we are currently seeing on the chart there on DXY, that is the dollar index, you will see pretty much that anytime price comes to that trend line and the relative strength index is in the oversold region, we ideally experience a buy coming into the market. You can see the arrow there. All right, so at the point price came to the trend line there, RSI was at the oversold region and price bought until the RSI entered into the overbought region, which is roughly around this area here, that price later spiked up before having some sideways movement, retracing back down again to the trend line. So you can see we revisited that trend line again around February 2021. All right, and at the point that price came to that trend line, if you look at the RSI at that point, what do you see there? That's the RSI in the oversold region there, and you can see once price tapped into the trend line, we saw a buy pressure coming into play. So why did I take you guys through that journey? I took you guys through that journey because on the recent price action and at the current place that we are experiencing price action here, you can see price is revisiting that trend line one more time. And another thing I want to bring your attention is that the RSI is coming out from just an oversold position, okay? And you can see how that overlays with the price at that point there. All right, so my take will be we will be experiencing a buy pressure on DXY at least up until the time that we have the RSI in the overbought zone. But for now, pretty much the RSI is coming just from an oversold zone, and in correlation to the trend line and the price action and the price structure, market structure we are seeing there, you can see that the DXY is currently on that trend line. So going into this week, we are still of the idea that maybe the bulls might still be interested on DXY. All right, so that's our take on that. And right about now, we're heading straight to Euro USD. On Euro USD, I would like to reiterate some of the things I said in the previous week. If you don't know the video I'm talking about, you can check the channel. As you can see, the previous week analysis is right there for you to consume. All right, but let's focus on this week because we are looking at the price on the weekly time frame for this new week we are heading into. All right, so looking at the weekly time frame once again on the Euro USD, all the drawings we have here is pretty much the same drawing that we had in the last week, and our speculation and analysis still boils down to what we have: an interesting breakout from this trend line that you can see obviously that price has been building up liquidity and driving price down, and right about there we can see a breakout from that. That's the breakout there, and you can see just right after that breakout the RSI just tapped into the overbought zone. All right, that's it right there. That is it right there. All right, it's just coming out from an overbought zone. So what I would recommend is that we might experience some bearish pressure just based off on where the RSI is, nothing more, nothing less. But the general price action for me, I'm of the opinion that the market is still bullish regardless. All right, so we might experience price trading back down, maybe a little bit. I don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe a little bit back down into this trend line that you see that price is building up liquidity on. All right, we might have price trade back into it for us to see more buys coming in, and right about when that happens we would also see the RSI at least in the oversold zone. All right, so that's our take on Euro USD. There is no need to waste further time there. So going into next week, we are of the opinion that Euro USD, just for the fact it's coming from the overbought zone, we might experience some tiny pullback, little pullback, but overall the market is still bullish. So at the end of the pullback, maybe when the RSI is now stepping into the 50% zone, you have the 50% level there, then we can anticipate more buys coming into Euro USD. So that's that on Euro USD. Let's head straight to British Pound USD. So on British Pound USD, I would like you to follow me again. I hope you are still following me with your focus, all right, and the attention. All right, just follow me as we dive into this. Just as we said last week, the British Pound USD is just coming from an interesting low. There was a low that was set on British Pound USD that dated way back in the 1985. All right, that's the low right there. That was in 1985, and we're of the opinion that we've seen a very nice test on that same level, and you can see price pretty much is reacting from that level and is going up to take out at least these highs here, all those liquidities lying there. So I'm of the opinion that British Pound USD is going to at least swipe those liquidity lying above there, and before that happens, that's the only time we can experience another price change, or I don't know. All right, or maybe a reversal. Don't take my word for it, this is just me speculating, right? Then I want you to pay attention to something. All right, what I want you to pay attention is that you can see pretty much that anytime price steps into the 50% level, we experience a bullish pressure coming into the price. All right, should I show you guys? All right, I know you guys want me to show you, so pay attention to the arrows that I'm drawing on the RSI. All right, on the RSI here, price came below the 50% level there. What do you see? A buy pressure came in there. All right, just follow me. Price came into it around here. All right, somewhere around there. All right, we had price go a little bit more down, and you saw that buy pressure coming in again. All right, just follow me. It's not hard, it's not difficult. What we just do here, we find something that is consistent with the market structure and everything, then we take it. Price came into the below the 50% zone again, around there. What do you see? A buy pressure coming in. Same thing here, here, all these vertical lines you see at those levels, you see the buy pressure coming in there. Now we can see, apart from these two guys here, which I'm going to remove, I want you to pay attention to where the RSI is. What do you see here? So last week we saw the RSI stepping into that 50% zone. So what do we expect based on the previous price action, based on what we've seen? At least we are anticipating a buy pressure coming into play here. And remember, like I told you guys, there is still a mission here, and the mission is operation take out this liquidity that the market used in coming down. And if you pay attention, you will see that British Pound USD is yet to take out that liquidity. So I'm of the opinion that since we have the RSI in a very good zone, we might experience a buying British Pound USD going into this week. So pay attention to that. I hope you're writing those things down. And yeah, that's that about British Pound USD. Let's head straight to Japanese Yen USD, JPY USD. All right, follow me as I take you in the world of JPY USD. So on JPY USD, see an important level there. Obviously, you can see some resistance on that horizontal line there. And pretty much whenever price comes to that level, there is an attempt for price to take out the liquidity that was created before price coming back down to that level. All right, so what do we see here? We saw price come down there. We had it trace back up before coming back down again. Now price is going back up, almost close to the swing high that price created at that level there. So what do we expect? All right, so this is the second time. Pay attention to the RSI now. This is the second time on the USDJPY we had price trying to trade back down, got rejected, didn't enter the oversold zone, just got rejected and started trading back up. Well, I am of the opinion that JPY might still sell, but it's actually in a no man's zone at this point. So for me, I would prefer a situation whereby the RSI is in the overbought. Then that would give me much more confidence on a sell coming in. So for me, I'll stay away from USDJPY this week for me to get a very bigger clear picture of what's going on there. There are two things. Maybe this market wants to range. Maybe this market just wants to get a little bit push up, then for a sell down. I don't know. But for me, I'll stay away from JPY USD going into the week. All right, we'll touch base on BTC, then we'll close up with gold. I hope you're with me. All right, so looking at the BTC chart, I would want you to follow me, and I want to point out something on the RSI. All right, just follow me. All right, I hope you're with me. So if you pay attention to the RSI, I pretty much had a look at the chart, just trying to find out some things that are consistent in the chart. And there's something that I noticed. I hope you're with me. One thing I noticed, just like I pointed out in the British Pound USD chart, since the life cycle of BTC, I noticed something on the weekly time frame. For any time price comes below the 50% zone, like I told you guys on the British Pound USD, there is always a tendency of the bulls or of a buying pressure coming into play. And if you pay attention to these arrows in the RSI zone, you would pretty much notice that anytime price comes into those levels, we experience a buy. Here on May 2021, price came down there, okay, below the 50% level there on the RSI. That's the arrow there. What do you see? There was some support there. Price later bought back to take out the liquidity that was created before price coming back down. All right, here we experienced on December 2021, price came below the 50% level there. We didn't see any buy, all right, but you can see immediately price came into the oversold. That was the level there. You see price gradually bought until what? It takes out the liquidity that was created before the fall. And that was at that level there. All right, so this is me just looking at price and seeing things that are consistent. All right, what do you see here again? Price traded below the 50% level there. That's it there. What do you see? Price later bought up, coming back down into that area again here below the 50. All right, what do you see at that level? Price found support, touching that trend line. What do you see? Going up again. Price traded back down again on that trend line. What do you see? Immediately price touched that trend line. What do you see? Price was trading below the 50% level. What do you see there? Price data bought. Don't argue with me, argue with the price, argue with the market. All I'm just doing here is just showing you some things that are consistent in the price. All right, so what do you see here again? Price came close below the 50% level, but I wouldn't recommend you to be buying at that level. So going into next week, I would want to see what BTC is going to do. But if BTC RSI trades below the 50% level and price is still trading above that trend line, I think we might experience a buy coming into the market. But in a situation whereby the RSI trades below the 50% level and the stock and the candles are trading below that trend line, then maybe I might have a different opinion. But for now, what I would recommend, and this is not financial advice, is for you to stay out from the market on the BTC standpoint of things, and maybe pay close attention and see what price does in next week. Then you can use that to make your decision for the upper week coming into play. All right, we'll touch base on gold before we close it here. All right, you can see I have a couple of drawings out on gold. I want you to follow me because there is a history repeating itself on gold. I know. Don't argue with me. Don't argue with me. You have the market to argue with. You have the market to argue with. All right. So I was looking at the gold chart. I saw this very, we'll call it the parabolic move. Very, very steep up move right there on gold. All right. Not good. This kind of price action, not good. And I was wondering, why do we have the price looking out like that on gold? Is this still tradable? And I said, yeah, of course, it's tradable. All I need to do is find out something that is consistent. I must see something that is consistent. And I was paying attention to the RSI, all right? I like the RSI a lot. If you pay attention, you see I reference the RSI a lot. But I'm not saying that I use RSI to trade. I use it for my analysis, right? I use it to gauge where the pressure is on, and I use it to gauge where the pressure is going. Basically, I use it to have a speculation on the trend, basically. But something I want you to pay attention is the areas in the RSI that I have circled. All right, those areas are the three areas that I've seen RSI behave a certain way, and not only the RSI behaving in a certain way, including the price also behaves in a certain way whenever we see that pattern playing out. And what do I mean? Let's go back in time. All right, so this pattern I'm about to show you guys, I picked out my data based on what I'm seeing here on TradingView, and going way back in time, you can see now I'm entering into the 1960s. We are not going into the 1960s, right? And taking the data from all the way from the 1974 up till now. All right, okay, I think I see another one here. See another one here. And mind you, I'm not looking at the candles, I'm just looking at the RSI. And with the RSI, if you look at this, RSI here that I just mapped out, if you look at this is looking quite similar to what is happening in the recent time. What do you see, brothers? Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Argue with the market. Just argue with the market. All I'm doing here is just to show you something, and once I'm done showing you, I'll leave. I take my leave, bro. Just pay attention to what I'm pointing out right about now. All right, so you be worried about gold. I think gold is overstretched. Just pay attention. Just follow me. And when I say overstretched, that doesn't mean that it can buy more. I'm just saying that even if there will be another buy on gold, there should be some level of retracement, for crying out loud. And I think we've reached that point where the retracement will come into play. All right. So let's go to the chart again. So if you pay attention to the RSI, you see we have an RSI that pretty much is trading in the overbought zone for a very long period of time. And the pattern I want you to pay attention is how many spike you see in that RSI. We have the first spike here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth spike. After the fourth spike here, you can see the market now finally retrace back down. This is it here. This is the first pattern. Let's go to the next one. Like I told you, this occurrence have not yet sorry for my language. This occurrence is is not so saturated in the market. So it has played out few times, but in those few times you can see they are looking very similar. And this is on the weekly time frame. All right, look at it here again. Here we had how many swings? 1, 2, 3, 4. After the fourth one, we saw some level of retracement, but you can see immediately price retraced maybe 50% of that push. Price later bought back again and started trading up. But the most important thing I want you to pay attention is that retracement. All right, that retracement there. We'll go again. Here we saw that same thing repeating itself here. Here it was a little bit more longer. Here we experienced how many spikes? 1, it came back down. 2, came back down. 3, came back down. 4, came back down. 5. The fifth one is when we now experience some reasonable retracement. And you can see just by the RSI going down, you can also see the retracement coming down on gold. All right, now fast forwarding to the recent time, what do you see again? 1, first spike, it traded down. 2, second spike, traded down. 3, fourth is on the fourth spike now. Remember, on the fourth spike, based on the previous data, we experience a good retracement. So with that said, experience is the best teacher. So if you want to learn, go check the previous price actions, and you see it right there looking at you in your eyes. So that's it right there on your screen looking at you. That's gold. For me, going into next week, I'm going with the mindset that gold is on a retracement move, and there's no need for me to be hoping or be looking for a huge buy in gold. Rather, I'll be looking for setup that will pretty much give me a more selling bias. So that's that, and I hope you guys have picked out 1 or 2 informations on this video. With that, I will say again, remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you've not subscribed, turn on the notifications that whenever we drop content like this, which we do drop it every weekday, every start of the week, I mean to say. All right, so with that said, that's the end of today's session, and I hope to see you guys next week. Happy trading, guys. Safe, remain blessed. Bye bye for now.